Hey Shakers, and welcome to Worth Your Salt, the podcast that shakes up your marketing game in the health and wellness industry. Worth Your Salt is brought to you by Salt Marketing. Salt Marketing helps health and wellness practitioners build trust and authority to attract a steady stream of inbound wellness seekers. For more information, you can visit us online at saltmarketing.co. I'm Jennifer Orechwa, StoryBrand Certified Guide, Marketing Strategist with Salt Marketing, and your host for today's episode of Worth Your Salt. Now, for many wellness practitioners, the passion for helping others is the driving force behind their work. But that passion alone isn't necessarily enough to build a thriving practice. Without strong sales and a foundation there, even the most talented practitioners can find themselves overwhelmed, stuck on sales plateaus, and unable to achieve sustainable growth. Sales isn't just about being pushy or inauthentic, it's about guiding potential clients to confidently choose the support that they need. So, by developing effective sales skills and systems, wellness professionals can overcome the idea overload, focus on revenue generating activities, and build a practice that aligns with their ideal lifestyle. The right sales approach transforms leads into loyal clients, creating a ripple effect of impact, growth, and fulfillment. Enter Cyndi Padilla of Gain the Edge, the sales powerhouse that has revolutionized how business owners approach sales. With decades of experience leading top-performing sales teams across industries, Cyndi understands the unique challenges that wellness practitioners face when trying to build a scalable, sustainable sales system. Gain the Edge provides legacy-minded professionals with the tools and strategies and support they need to grow their business, launch their life's work, and live out their purpose. So in this episode, Cyndi's going to reveal for us how to turn passive leads into qualified appointments, build a rock-solid sales foundation, and implement a systematic approach to sales that guarantees results. So if you're tired of chasing the new marketing ideas and ready to streamline your efforts for predictable exponential growth, this conversation is for you. Cyndi, thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, Jennifer, and all of your watchers today. Super excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me. It's going to be a powerful conversation and serve a lot of people well.
Yeah, absolutely. The sales piece of the puzzle is always a challenge. I mean, for so many people. I'm glad you're here to help us get better at it.
Yeah.
So many of the wellness practitioners that I work with, they get into the field because they want to help people, not sell to them. So why do you think that sales skills are so crucial for practitioners in this space?
Well, sales is the lifeblood of an organization. And what we've discovered in working with practitioners, we love working with holistic, functional medicine, chiropractic, family practices. What we discovered is that they spent their time, their money, their energy, and years becoming a physician, becoming a doctor, gaining their skill set because that is their life's work. And what wasn't a part of that was how to actually build a business.
Mm-hmm.
And from one physician that we learned, like money is not a part of the equation, especially if you happen to start your career in a hospital. Like you just see patients,
Mm-hmm.
and the money conversation is not a part of it. And then you have the insurance. So there's a lot of confusion and miscommunication about how money is a part of the health and wellness of practitioners.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I kind of alluded to this in the opening. There's often a perception that sales feels pushy or it's inauthentic. So how can wellness practitioners reframe that mindset around sales so it feels aligned with their values?
Sales is service. And you have a practice, you have a clinic because you truly want to save people, you want to heal people, and it's going to require you to enroll them in your purpose, in your mission, and why you're different and how you serve and what you've learned along the way. And so it's a service, it's a benefit. And then the other piece is as people are transitioning and building businesses, so many businesses are built to deliver an outcome, to fulfill, versus it
Mm-hmm.
being really designed to generate revenue. And then that comes from a practitioner's standpoint. Healing is a lifetime journey. And so understanding that if you're building it that way, then your clients are going to stay with you a long time and you're going to continue to offer them different ways that you can serve them and improve their lifestyle and their health and wellness. And so it's integrating sales into all parts of the business.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about risk, though. I mean, when we talk about the risk of not learning these skills,
Mm.
what kind of risk do wellness practitioners face when they kind of avoid the sales thing and trying to figure out those skills and the tools that they need in order to succeed?
The risk is not being in business a long time.
Sure.
The
Yeah.
risk is, but the greater risk is when clients are coming to us, they're stuck and they don't have enough revenue, they don't have enough profit to be able to bring on an additional team member, to bring in a
Mm,
patient coordinator, to hire a marketing team, to get some things off of their plate. So the business will never grow if we don't integrate profitability in the offers. Often the offers aren't profitable, right?
mm,
We didn't price them accurately. There's just a lot that goes into the profitability and the sales of the business.
hmm
And when clients come to us, they're just stuck and they're doing everything with like one other person in their practice.
hmm And so I would love to hear your perspective on how mastering sales can really enhance the client experience. Like I think we think of, sales as a detraction from what we do as wellness practitioners. So how can mastering sales really enhance the client experience?
The way we look at sales, our philosophy, it's not what you're saying in the conversation, it's who you're being. And so again, it's organizing the business that as people are coming into your realm, if they're coming through an opt-in, if they get on a conversation, that everybody understands the opportunity and responsibility is just to determine at that point if that person's a good fit. Where are they in their health journey? Is it the right time for them to begin working with you? And how would you most be able to serve them? So often when sales is brought into a business, it's about closing the sale and getting the lead and all that. But it's really, if it's understood and built out from a foundational standpoint, and you know the mountaintop experience that you can provide for your clients, people are going to come in at all different kinds of levels and all different kinds of stages of readiness. And
Mhm,
that's where every step of the way is qualifying them, vetting them, and increasing trust and certainty every step of the way until it's the right time for that client. And
mhm,
that's where, again, the pressure's on for so many physicians or small practices because there isn't enough people coming through a pipeline, or we don't know how to continue the conversation past even a fulfillment and a
mhm,
service. So it feels like you're always in that hustle and I've got to get, got to get, got to get. And that's
mhm.
where it feels really bad. For physicians and small practices, we love the idea of a two-step close. So it also takes the pressure off of the sale. You're really, meeting with people to determine what their readiness, their needs, and their desire to actually solve their problem right now is. And from there, you set up another appointment. It's very similar to being in a medical world, right? If I was to go to the emergency room, I would go to a triage call session first, and she would take my blood pressure and listen to my heart and make sure I'm okay for my next appointment, my next stage in seeing the doctor. And it's the same thing with that sales process. We create a triage process to really determine and suss out who is this person, can we really help them and how, and then set up the next step, whether that's coming into your office, whether that's another, a true enrollment conversation.
So tell me a little bit about some of the common roadblocks that you see with wellness practitioners. How do these challenges affect their ability to grow their practice?
Yeah, well, the biggest challenge is
It's a big question.
it's a big question. Oh my gosh. Again, what we have seen is a lot of traditional MDs coming out of traditional hospitals wanting to get into functional medicine, want to open their own practices. So they seek mentorship and resources to set that up. So they have all the stuff. They have a medical CRM, they have an appointment thing, they know what they're going to do, but nobody has taught them how to put it all together so that it
Mm,
serves the business, it serves the client, and it should serve the CEO, it should serve the founder of the clinic and the physician. And that's the biggest challenge we see, is that there's just, they know how they want to serve, they know the lives they want to change, they have all the stuff, but they don't have the integration with sales and marketing to put
Hmm.
it all together. There's an order, and that's what's missing.
Yeah, that's definitely a roadblock. All right, Cyndi, I've got to take a quick sponsorship break. But now that we've explored why mastering these sales skills are so important for practitioners, I want to dive into how to put those skills into action. So after the break, I'd love for you to share your top strategies for connecting with potential clients and confidently guiding them to say yes. We'll be right back.
My name is Dr. Pamela Ekman. I'm a chiropractor here at Love Your Healthy Life. I've been in practice for 22 years. As a chiropractor, I use different management softwares, but the softwares for that can be very expensive. And when I found Thrive, Thrive was very reasonably priced. Using Thrive has organized my business. It's an all-in-one package now. So my patient data is there, my website and my social media is all done through Thrive. They even have the ability to do credit cards and billing and stuff like that. So even if the electricity is down, they can do this through their phone. And that is organization beyond belief. The biggest impact that Thrive has had on my business is the reminders for the patients and just having their information available. Thrive reads when their appointments are and just automatically sends out the reminders with no problems. They can actually text back, confirm if that's what we want to do, or just send us a text of what the situation is, or if they're running late, we get all that information. The social media part of Thrive is actually fabulous. My Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those things are all packaged in together. There are pre-written informational pieces about chiropractic that goes out. It's 2, 3, 4 times a week. It depends on the week. I get an email at the beginning of the month. It shows me everything that's going to be posted. It does all the work for you. Since using Thrive, my social media numbers have gone way up. There are lots and lots of things that I don't have to deal with anymore that I used to. Thank you, Thrive.
We're back on the Worth Your Salt podcast. I'm here with Cyndi Padilla of Gain the Edge, and we're about to dig into what makes sales for wellness practitioners unique. And so I'm excited, Cyndi, because I know you're going to help walk us through how to approach sales in a way that feels authentic and aligned and really gets those results. Starting with the fact that many clients require a deeper level of trust before we start talking about sales at all. So how can practitioners build that trust early in the conversation?
The first sale they have to make is to themselves.
Mm.
Every day you have to sell yourself on your worth, on your value, and just remind yourself how incredible you are, your modalities, and your expertise. That's the first sale that has to be made every single day. And again, when we are working with clients, and especially in this modality of physicians, it's breaking it into the 2 steps. So you have a triage call. It's 15 to 20 minutes. That alone is going to allow the person who shows up on the other side of the phone or Zoom call to not feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be here an hour. Like it really is an exploration call. And having a very set number of questions that you're going to ask is really important so you don't go down any rabbit holes. Setting up the call with clear expectations. Hey, Jennifer, so glad we're here on the call. We have 15 minutes. The purpose of our call today is so I can really determine, where you are with your health right now and determine if we can help you and how I can best help you. I have a series of like 8 to 10 questions, and they really help me determine the next best step for me to provide for us. How does that sound?
So how do we develop those questions? Like how do we begin to figure out what that conversation should feel like?
So it's working with someone that understands sales, but we have a triage format because it's also you have to do the research into. We listen to past calls, right? That's important.
Mm.
If you're not recording your sales calls, please record your sales calls. They are gold. If you can re-listen to them, you will hear things that you didn't realize you said. You will hear things that you didn't hear during that conversation. You're like, oh, I didn't hear that. And I could have asked that next. I could have
Mhm.
stopped. I could have opened up the conversation and just let it sit for a moment. So recording your sales calls is key and it's gold. There's a gold mine in listening to them. But that's what we need to do. We need to determine and find out what are the triggers that get people to say yes. And
Mm.
it's always looking at it from the client perspective, not what we think, not what we want, not what we even know, but really what is their perspective? Where are they in their health journey? What's the trigger? What's the thing that's going to make them say yes now?
And I know a lot of practitioners hear objections, like that's not within my budget. I need to think about it. What advice can you give as far as how to handle those objections with confidence and with empathy? Because oftentimes it's very much tied up in their health and their self-worth. So how do we handle those objections?
Again, it's coming at it with a very compassionate, direct communication. They are looking to you to be their leader. Nobody's going to raise their hand and say, I'm looking for a leader, but that's what they're looking for. They want someone to say, this is the next step. And so often we soften the invitation, we soften the offer because we're afraid of offending people. And we have to be willing to say some very honest, not mean, but honest things. The kindest thing you can do is be honest. And when people are talking about money, everybody has access to money. You can borrow it, you can ask a friend, you can sell something. And again, this is their health. So again, that triage call is so important because you're really asking very specific questions. So they get to the point of it's time. Like you've opened it enough for them to say, it's time. How long have you been dealing with this? What does it cost you? What are you not able to do in your life because this is happening? Asking questions about who's in their household. Do they have support? So again, very specific questions that we overcome objections before they become objections.
That makes sense. So I was thinking as you were talking about how to tailor strategies to sort of align with, a unique business model and their personal approach to wellness. And you kind of answered that in saying that, we get to the objections before they get to the objections. But how can practitioners think through that and tailor their sales strategies to be aligned with their business model?
It really goes back to understanding who your client is. And you have to understand where they are on their health journey. Some people aren't even aware they have a problem. They're up here just floating down a river. They don't even know they have a problem. Some people are on the brink of going over a waterfall. Maybe they got blood panels back and it shows something's high and they just got their first diagnosis with high blood pressure. They're like, and think about it from their perspective. Pharma and media has normalized so much of all the things that you're trying to heal and solve in the world. So again, it's maybe not going to be an emergency, but they're like, wow, I probably should start looking for some solution. I probably should look. And then there's the bottom of the falls where people are like flailing, like maybe they're phase 3 renal failure, or they just had stents put in their heart. Like they know it's time for a change. And so for the practitioner to understand, and the final phase is recovery. They've come out of it and there's a short window because what happens to people is they'll forget. And before you know it, they've gained the 30 pounds back. Or they stop taking their medication. Now they're back in the ER and they have another stent going in. It happens all the time. So it's understanding where your client is on their journey and who do you serve best? Do you serve them best when they're in, disaster and they're the loudest, they're the easiest to find, but you have to, what are you going to do for them? And so it's understanding, and you just, as the practitioner, being able to just trust yourself and hear and listen for those triggers and those words.
And I really like what you said about, where are they in the journey? Where do you best serve? Where do you excel in serving people? And that might be the place to start the sales conversation. So many of the practitioners that we work with, they feel overwhelmed by their to-do lists and the million things they have to do. So how can they make sales a priority without feeling like they're sacrificing their time with their clients or even their own well-being?
One is ensure that, and you would work with someone to integrate sales as just part of the culture in your business. So it isn't all reliant on you. So we have a client, she's a physical clinic in Ohio, working with her so that whether it's a patient coordinator, whether it's her nurse assistant, everybody understands that there's opportunities for sales and service along the way, and that every step, every touch point is an increase of certainty and confidence. That's what you're doing every step of the way. So when the invitation is made, when they are ready, then it's an easy yes because that trust has been built. And one, they believe in you and they believe that they've chosen and found the right people to serve them. The other piece is scheduling. Uh, we have clients and we encourage them to put it on their calendar. These are the hours a few days a week that you're going to have enrollment conversations. These are the times of day or days of the week that you're going to do market facing outreach, that you're going to make sure your emails are sent. It has to become just part of the business. And that's probably the greatest challenge we see in this market.
Yeah, and I love what you said about gaining clarity and confidence all along the way. Like this is a process. This isn't a one-time conversation. You've got to work it into everything that you do. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Cyndi, it's time for another quick break. We'll be right back after this. Hey, Salt Nation, you're listening to the Worth Your Salt podcast. I'm Jennifer Orechwa, and today I'm talking with Cyndi Padilla of Gain the Edge about how sales are a crucial part of connecting with those who need you most. We'd love to hear how you're mastering the sales process in a way that feels authentic and supportive. Join Salt Marketing over on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook and share your favorite selling strategies. So, Cyndi, coming back here, would you share the story behind Gain the Edge and talk to me a little bit about why you're so passionate about helping business owners, including in the wellness space, master sales?
I'd love to. Thank you for asking. So I left my corporate job in October of 2013. I'd worked for Target for decades. I was a turnaround specialist. And then our youngest had graduated university. And I said, I'm done. No more Black Fridays. And I resigned. And then my husband was already an entrepreneur. We started a coaching business. And then it was our first year. We were figuring it out. And our coach said, you really should get into done for you sales. So we started doing done for you sales for big coaches and launches and events. And so we were selling thousands and thousands and thousands of products and services on an annual basis for other people. We had a sales team. And then in 2021, 22, we really shifted because what we were seeing in the marketplace was so many people were being sold and they were investing in a lot of things that were the right things for their business, whether it was CRMs, technology, marketing, coaching programs, all this. But the one thing that was missing was a continuity of how to put it all together, how to do things in the right order, and how to integrate sales into everything. Jim did a talk about a year ago to a pretty well-known functional medicine coach. And his talk literally had people in tears because he was talking to them about the profitability, paying themselves, the sustainability. And people were like, they were crying.
Yeah. Because it's a tough gig, it sure is. And you referenced Jim, and having worked with you guys in sales, I know you have a really unique approach to this, and that's probably why people feel so emotional because of your approach. Tell me a little bit about how your approach is different from traditional sales training methods.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing is that because we were behind the scenes for 10 years in everybody else's business, selling their stuff, training teams to sell their stuff, integrating a myriad of sales systems, untangling decades of chaos so we could create a system that we could put a salesperson in and they could win. And so the expert looks like they're just up here like this little smooth duck on the river, and we're the feet below. Making sure we've seen every business model and we know how to be that chameleon and how to integrate. And so when we're working with practitioners now, like that's our heart, is the small business owner, the practitioners, because they do have everything to be extremely successful and have a viable business and change the world and make an impact. but there literally is the missing link of the order and how things are done, the sales foundation being built. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Often we're removing tons of the complications, tons of the technology
Hmm.
that was purchased, and like, you don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need that yet. You don't
Hmm.
need that. Yeah, so that's been the joy of it. And then also helping them to actually build a practice with team. I think that's a big piece that's missing is how to hire incredible humans that have the same values, and then making sure they have a great onboarding and a training. And we just weave sales into all of that. And you just see our clients eventually like,
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
not all on me. It's not all on me anymore. It's no, it's
Yeah.
not supposed to be all on you forever.
And to your point a minute ago, complexity doesn't scale. So trying to simplify that, I know that that's part of what you guys do. I would love for you to share an example of a practitioner or business owner who really was able to transform their practice based on what you taught them. Like, what was that journey like?
Yeah, I'd love to. It's so interesting because, people come to us for sales. People always come to us for sales. Yet
Mhm.
what we are truly doing and working with is building teams and systems for these business owners. And so, like an example would be, there's a bridal salon owner here in Sacramento. We worked with for about a year and a half, and we spent all last year just building out our hiring processes. And in that is the sales processes that go along with it. She's selling bridal gowns. So obviously we're talking about sales all the time. But by third quarter, I mean, she was hiring stretch hires, people that were just almost overqualified, right? She got an assistant manager on board. She took a 10-day vacation to Mexico. So it's putting those systems in place that allow her to be that CEO. And then we have that practitioner that's in Ohio, just talking to her this week and her team. They're like, oh my gosh, we just had one of the best weeks ever. And
Nice.
it was because the churn has stopped. Like if you don't have the right people on board, you can't build a sales process. If you can't have the right people on board, everybody's just wearing way too many hats, and
Hmm.
we never get out of that hustle and grind, and you can never scale because you don't
Hmm.
have the systems, whether it's a marketing system, a social media system, sales, like all of it has to be broken down and simplified.
And I know that you focus on building those scalable systems. So I'm wondering if you could walk us through a little bit of what that system might look like. How it can help wellness practitioners avoid that burnout that comes with doing all
Mhm.
the things and doing too much. How do you put that system in place? What does it look like?
Well, the system is multifaceted. Again, I know people always think about us with sales. It all starts with having the right person. So we have an incredible onboarding, vetting, and then training and onboarding,
Hmm.
30, 60, 90-day plans. When it comes to your sales process, yes, we have making sure that we really understand who your clients are, like for you to truly, like, who do you really really want to serve, who's your best clients, who gets the best outcomes. That's the cool thing about being your own business owner. You get to choose that, and then you design the business that attracts them, that serves them well. We love creating systems with our clients. Our goal is that one yes, your first yes, that client should stay with you, that patient should stay with you a minimum of 2 years, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years. And that's what we build towards, and that's what we get to design.
Yeah, I love that. We talk a lot about customer journeys, mapping that out, lifetime value, a lot of that. So you're right in line with everything
Yes,
that we
yes.
tell our clients as well. So if I'm listening and I'm stuck right now, what's one actionable step that someone can take right away to kind of improve their sales conversations or their systems? Where do we begin?
First and easiest would be to record your sales calls and listen to them. Painful, painful. But the beauty of it is, so we listened to a lot of sales calls, and we would hear from our sales reps, well, they didn't buy because they didn't have money. It was the money. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I listened to the call and I can hear at 12 minutes in, you just lost connection with them. You lost rapport. You lost, because what often happens is someone that isn't comfortable and confident in a sales conversation is very focused on what to say next. And so you didn't hear someone say something like, yeah, we lost my father last year. And we just go right on into, instead of going, so let that land, like open that up, sit in that level of uncomfortableness. Well, how has that affected your health?
Yeah.
Not going on to the next question, not saying, okay, thank you. And that's literally what we hear.
Yeah.
We're like, ah.
Yeah.
So listen to your sales conversations and hear things that you missed and things that you like, I don't realize I said that, or I don't realize I sound like that.
Very good advice. Very good advice. All right, Cyndi. So where can we find you? Where can we learn more about Gain the Edge, or even get started with you getting some help with sales?
Love it. We can go to us. Our website is www.gaintheedgenow.com. And then I'm on Facebook. We have a free Facebook group, and we do monthly workshops. So we'd love to offer a resource is one of our recorded workshops from last year, and it was the 2-step sales close.
Wonderful. Of course, we'll put links to all of that to the Gain the Edge website, to that webinar, Cyndi's social profiles, and all the ways that you can connect with her. We'll put on our website at saltmarketing.co. But right now, Cyndi, it is time for our lightning round questions. These are a few questions that I like to ask of every guest. Are you ready?
I think so.
All right. The first question is, what's something about you that often surprises people?
That I have 3 grown daughters and 6 grandchildren under 6.
I knew you were going to go with the grandchildren. That's funny. All right. Next question. What is your favorite thing about your work that you do?
Oh gosh, seeing people get their work out into the world and pay themselves and understand, just have that transformation. Building that business is a personal and professional transformation.
All right. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Don't ever give up. Like you just keep going.
That was good advice. I need that one today. It's been a day. All right. Last question. Who is inspiring you right now? What podcast are you listening to, or what's the best book you've read recently?
Oh, my book. Can I show it?
Absolutely.
Okay. The Road to Less Stupid.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. I read it last year. We choose a book every year for our clients. That's the book of the year. I am a really, really smart person, as are you. And so when I make mistakes, and it's how do we make less mistakes, right? Sure. A lot of costly mistakes that take us back a step or two, but it's an easy read. It's a great read. And it's very foundational, right? It's stuff we all know.
I love that. I'm going to have to pick that one up. Thank you for the recommendation. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me this week on our episode of Worth Your Salt.
Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer.
I also want to thank you, Salt Nation. If you have a great success story, we would love to talk with you and share your story. So be sure to tell us about why you're worth your salt by emailing us at grow@saltmarketing.co. Of course, be sure to subscribe to Worth Your Salt so you never miss an episode. Leave us a review or give the show a handful of stars wherever you get your content. That's all for this episode. Please be sure to join me again next time. In the meantime, let's get out there and shake things up.